Hi everybody. So I haven't gotten a chance to make a video for a few days, so I'm actually going to make two here. This first one is going to explain the travel to get to where I was, or where I am, and then I'm going to make a second one explaining about the what I did today. So the first 2 days were travel days, a couple of very long ones. I left the redwoods 2 days ago, and the first day I went from the redwoods to Crater Lake National Park, which, if you've not been, go. I cannot stress enough how fantastic it is. The first time I went, I cried at how beautiful it is. It is the bluest blue that you will ever see in the lake. Now, unfortunately, this time of year, most of the park is still covered in snow, so a lot of it is still closed. And even the parts that are open, a lot of it, because it is an extinct volcano, a lot of it is very steep um, uh, trails and things like that. So it's difficult for a lot of people to navigate large parts of the park. In fact, to get down to the lake itself, there is only one trail, and it is rated strenuous because it is a very steep, like 2 mile trail, just over 2 miles. And so I unfortunately have not been down to the lake yet. Last year when I went, the trail was closed completely, and then this year it was open, but I didn't have time because that would take several hours to get down to the lake, experience the lake, and then get back up. So I've not been actually in the water, but someday I will go. But I took this video of sitting there at Rim Village and just looking out over the water, and just ogling at how beautiful it is. This is Crater Lake, the most beautiful place in the world. That is my favorite color. It's June 20 something, and most of the park is still covered in several feet of snow. And that is Wizard Island, which is such a great name for an island. There is only one trail down the rim to the water. There's a beach over at that end of the caldera. It is apparently extremely steep and about 2 miles long. But someday, I am going to swim in that. Not today, but someday. And the pictures and videos just will never do it justice. I've seen pictures of it before I went, and when I rounded that corner from the visitor center and got my first view of the lake, I was just overcome with the beauty of it. So definitely, highly recommend. I have a fire going here, but let me tell you, this is the most pain in the ass fire that I have ever dealt with. I had one going last night too because it was pretty chilly, and I was, just hanging out here. So I wanted to warm things up a bit. But yeah, I'm in a rainforest, and so everything is wet, and so having a fire is a struggle. So anyway, I stopped at Crater Lake for lunch. It took me about 3.5, 4 hours to get from the Redwoods to Crater Lake, and then I went back out to the coast to a place called Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area, because there are some huge sand dunes there on the coast of Oregon, and I camped there for the night. The place I picked kind of sucked. It was one of the reviews called it a glorified rest stop, and yeah, that's pretty much. There was no camp host. There were only vault toilets. So the mosquitoes were pretty strong. So I was pretty glad that I was only there just to sleep, and then I got up early and got back on the road because I had another like 7.5 hour drive to get here, which is Olympic Adventure Camp just outside of Olympic Natural National Park. And hang on a sec, gotta deal with the fire. It's trying to go out on me. I'm gonna pause. Okay, hopefully that works. Everything's still wet. So anyway, the trip up from Oregon Dunes was kind of eventful. Still a lot of construction happening. In a lot of places there were like one lane. It looks like they're replacing a bunch of bridges along the 101, and also that there are some places where the road has partially washed out, like there was a landslide or whatever, and it took out part of the road, so they're having to like completely move the road further inland or whatever, away from the cliff. So yeah. Struggles with that. As I was actually, let me back up a little bit, because as I was coming out of Crater Lake National Park, I almost hit a deer it came right up to the side of the road, and I slammed on my brakes, and then it turned around and ran the other way. And then a little further up the road, I almost hit a bear that bolted across the road in front of me. Of course, slammed on the brakes. Luckily, there was no other traffic around, and I did not end up hitting the bear. But man, them things can move fast. It just zoomed right in front of me. And I'm next year when I do this, I am definitely going to get a dash cam, because there has been so much stuff that has happened like while I'm driving, and I can't get pictures or video of it. Some of the beautiful scenery, various bizarre driving tactics of certain people. For example, yesterday when I was coming up the 101 and through all of that traffic, I got stuck in a line of cars behind an RV that was towing a boat. And also in this line of cars were two logging trucks that were hauling other logging trucks. No logs, but the like back part of the truck was they were hauling them. And both of those drivers were jackasses. And they decided that they were tired of, going the speed limit. And so they zoomed around us, or at least tried to. They got into the other lane, and of course this is a 2-lane highway, so one going each direction, and they're in the oncoming lane, and they had to stop and get back into our lane a couple of times because there's oncoming traffic. It's the 101. It's a very busy road. And so Eventually they did manage to pass the whole line of cars. Um, but yeah, it was I just couldn't believe that professional drivers were doing something like that. Um, anyway, uh, and I also couldn't believe that the RV did not take advantage of any of the pullover spots where there's signs all along the road that says, you know, slow moving traffic, you have to pull off at these turnouts. And to be fair, they were going below the speed limit, but they just never stopped and let everybody pass them. And there was probably a good 8, 9 cars behind them. So it was a little bit frustrating. And eventually I did manage to get past them as well. Um, and then I think one of the weird, weirdest, yeah, I'll put it up there with the weirdest things I've seen on the side of the road on this trip was a whole boat, not just like a little John boat, like a big one with a cabin and a steering wheel, uh, just on the side of the road, like an abandoned car, with one of those stickers on it that says it has to be towed. So I don't know how that got there. It wasn't on a trailer, it was just the boat. Um, uh, but I imagine that was a bad day for everybody involved. So, um, yeah. But eventually I did make it here to camp. Um, and this is not that bad of a campsite. The site that I have is huge. I could probably fit like 5 tents in this site. And the sites are fairly well spread out. So I'm happy about that. The bathroom situation is a little unpleasant. There is a porta potty that I can see probably, I don't know, 150 feet that way. And then there are a couple of like actual toilets. They have their toilets in like these, they're like little trailer things. And they have sinks with them. But the showers are up at the front of the camp, and they are also in like little trailer things. And they are you have to pay $5 for a 15-minute shower. And it I had to like go inside and pay the guy, and then he had to like come out and turn on the hot water, and I had to wait for it, and it was just a whole hassle. So yeah, not my favorite shower situation. But I really needed a shower because obviously the last place that I was didn't have showers. The place before that didn't have showers. So it had been a couple of days and I really needed a shower. Well, actually, no. The place before did have showers, but I needed to get on the road really early. I didn't have time for a shower before I got on the road that day. So, but anyway, yeah, I needed a shower, and I feel nice and clean now. Anyway, yeah, that's the story of getting from the Redwoods up to Olympic National Park. And in the next video, I will explain what I did today and tell you guys all about Olympic National Park. So, bye!